and accept the meaning of destiny is to make them establish. So my guests and I bring you messages to establish what you need to know in the present. And also, I like working with angels and the calmness they bring. Now, in a moment, I will introduce you to my wonderful guest, Dr. Lynda Ince-Greenaway. But before that, I'd like to say thank you for watching the show live at a later date, as it means a lot to me to connect with like-minded women. Now, if you've never met me before, then my name is Ray, and I love to help women to crossroads in their life, heal their past, create their future, and transform their present so they can take charge of their destiny in the here and now. I'm the founder of Radiant Angel Energy, and I use future life progression, past life regression, angelic Reiki, guided meditation, angel oracle cards, and hypnosis to help women who feel lost get clear on their reason for being here. I've also created a transformational journey to help you on your destiny and a journey through the lifetimes. Now, each episode of the show covers various themes of your journey, a mini guided meditation or angel card reading with the wisdom of my wonderful guests, like today's guest, Dr. Lynda Ince-Greenaway, about her memoir, Hard Truth Growing Out of Adversity, that gives a sense of hope to those who are grieving, showing how it is possible to experience transformation and personal fulfillment even in the first phase of adversity. Now, growing up in Barbados, Dr. Lynda Ince-Greenaway migrated to England during her adolescent years. After completing her formal education, she believed that nursing would be her career, but circumstances dictated otherwise. She suddenly lost her husband at the age of 20 and shortly after gave birth to her son. Now, despite the trauma and many setbacks, Lynda was able to grow out of adversity and become an empathic person. Lynda became a social worker, a senior lecturer, and leader in her field of practice. She is a keynote speaker both nationally and internationally. She has held leadership positions for more than 30 years and has contributed to the learning and development of countless individuals, helping them achieve their dreams and ambitions. Lynda published her first book in 1988, which was based on her MPhil dissertation. She transformed her life by moving from a single parent to gaining a PhD. Now, Lynda set up her freelance business called Connected Life Coaching over 16 years ago and is currently a leadership coach. With her natural way of connecting with others, her enthusiasm, passion, and spiritual audacity, she demonstrates a sense of empowerment, confidence, and self belief. Lynda uses her knowledge, expertise, and skills to help others learn the principles of success. Anyone working with Lynda will be able to implement the lessons she shares, the tools she offers, and the messages she gives. Now, Lynda's newly published memoir, Hard Truth Growing Out of Adversity, gives a sense of hope, as I said, to those who are grieving, showing how it is possible to experience transformation and personal fulfillment, even in the face of adversity. She believes that all things are possible when you believe. She sees her highest calling as being of service to others. So, without further delay, hello, Lynda, and welcome to the Angels and Destiny show. How are you today?
I'm well today, Ray. Thank you very much for having me on your show.
Ah, that's brilliant. Thank you for coming on. So, before we get into this conversation, I want to remind you that you can ask questions, leave comments and thoughts, as both Lynda and I want you to be part of this conversation. So, please do not be shy. So, Lynda, why don't you tell us more about yourself and how your memoir, Hard Truth Grown Out of Adversity, can help us?
Okay, well, as you said, Ray, about myself, I am, sort of a Barbadian woman, and I came to this country in 1965. So I've lived here for all of my life virtually. I was rising 14. And the reason that I came to this country was the fact that my dad died when I was 13 years old. So that was quite sad, but it meant that my mum had to find a way to survive and to allow her children to survive. And so that survival strategy was about coming here to the United Kingdom to find a new life and to find a way of overcoming her own personal adversity. So my life story is this: that she left us behind, myself and four other siblings, and she came here, and within a year she brought us up. So that was how I came to be in this country. And so my education and everything from the age of 14 was here. and I made my life and my way in this country. But the most important thing about my life story is, that there has been a theme, a constant theme of tragedy and trauma that followed me throughout my lifetime. First beginning with my dad's death, and then leaving my country, losing that, and at a very young age, losing my mom and being separated from her. So, so that is the backdrop to my story. But the book, Hard Truth, actually begins when I lost my husband and I had put away all of the things that was his into what I called my Pandora's box. And for 47 years, I did not go back to that box. I just left it there, until one day, 2 years ago, I was asked whether I would speak at a conference. And in order to do that, because I was asked to talk about my traumatic experience, I went to that box. And the emotions that came out of that box was all overwhelming and it was powerful. And it was at that moment that I decided, Lynda, you've got to write this story down. If not for yourself, then as a legacy that you will leave behind for others, and in particular, my son and my grandson. So I started to write, had blank paper, sort of fingers to keyboard, and I started tapping away like crazy. It was phenomenal how I did that. And as I wrote, all the stories from my childhood came back. And I remembered my mom, and I remembered how phenomenal she was, the type of woman she was, the values that she taught me as a child, and how it impacted on me as an adult, and how it helped me to raise my son, because now I was raising him without the help of a partner, and I did that on my own for, as I say, 47 years. So that was an integral part of my life. So I realized that the grief and the loss I had suffered, I had never ever really spoken to anyone about, and certainly I had never spoken in a public setting to people about what had happened to me. But yet I realized that this story had a lot of power in it. It was a powerhouse. Someone said to me, it was a powerhouse because it could help so many people. And indeed, that was why I went into social work, because I really wanted to help children who had suffered loss, who had lost their parents, and who were estranged from family and community and had a lack of identity. And so I started to think that this story could benefit a lot of people. And so as I began to write, I told that story, but not only that story, I spoke to parents, I spoke to single parents. I spoke to professionals because I talked about my professional journey. I talked about how I overcame trials in the workplace and how I surmounted those trials and overcame them, and as people read this book, they see that there is something for them because it covers so many angles and so many different perspectives, and that I think is really, really helpful as people dig into the book. They walk with me, I talk to them, and they walk with me, and I walk with them, and I show them how I did it. One of the things I would like to say is that when a person goes through grief and suffering, it is really hard to think in a positive way.
Mm.
You need people to come alongside you and to be supportive and to help you. And very often, we don't want to talk about that because we're hurting inside, and it's hard to express those feelings. But the more we open up, the more we allow people to help us, or even better, the more we begin to help others, the more we find that, we are helping ourselves. And that is definitely what I found, because I started out saying, well, how can I help somebody else? How can this experience that I have change another person's life, and how can it bring light? How can it help me to walk out of the darkness, because I was in a dark place for a very, very long time. And I can't tell you the times that I felt depressed, I felt down, I felt that life was not worth living. And so the empathy that I have from that experience allows me to walk in another person's shoes and to be empathic and to understand their experience and what they're going through. So the book kind of brings all of that together in a really compassionate way so that when people read it, they say, I haven't gone through this, but I understand from the way you explain it what it means to go through grief and how, one can overcome it, one can turn one's life around. So for me, the turning point was how I began to think of strategies, ways that I could rise above what was happening to me. And my first strategy was to begin studying. I just studied, studied endlessly, because I had left school without having achieved what I wanted to achieve. And now here was the opportunity to do that. So I started to study. And the other thing that helped me was that I had been given a gift. I had been given the gift of a son. And so I had to look after him. And so there were only two choices I had. The first choice was to give in, to cave in to what had happened to me, or to think in a positive way and to change my mindset and to come out of that and to look after him. So he became my focus. And it was a really good focus because I helped him to become very successful. He is a successful doctor today. And by doing that, I had this focus. And I think that when you're grieving, if you can find a focus, if you can find a light, if you can see that the tunnel will come to an end, there will be an end to it, but you have to go through it because grieving is a process. And that process, you can only come to the end of it when you have gone through the process, however difficult it is. And if you don't go through the process, then grieving becomes complicated, and you can't then step out of it. So a lot of support. I was very, very fortunate to have a very supportive family and friends around me who kind of cosseted me for a long time. In fact, my mum looked after my son for the first 2 or 3 years of his life because I was unable to do it, you
Yeah.
know. So that was important in kind of accepting support and saying, well, I need these people around me to help me. I know that many people, when they are bereaved and when they feel sad, the easiest thing to do is to push people away
Yeah.
because you want to go into your own closet, you want to be on your own, you want to kind of think of that person. And it does depend on the relationship too that you had with the person, because a lot of people can feel this sense of blame, which is what I felt about my husband. I blamed myself for a long time because it was me. I said it was me that helped him to get into that policeman's uniform. See, he was a policeman. He was the
Okay.
second black policeman in the UK.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was again, that was phenomenal. He was
That's amazing.
he was absolute trailblazer. But I blamed myself for a long, long time because I said I helped him to get there. I did that. I said, if you want to do it, go and do it. Why not? You can do anything you want to do. That's the spirit I've always had. And so that, having to cope with that and having the realization that perhaps, it might have been different. Who knows? Who knows? But thinking perhaps it might have been different if I hadn't. So that a lot of it was about blame and self castigation and, wanting life to be different, but it wasn't. It was as it was. So the day I came to accept it was the day I made that turning point. That day that I accepted and I said, well, he's not going to come back. It's not going to be any different. So that was that part of my life that I talk about. And I talk about it in the book with a lot of passion because you see, as I wrote that, there was a lot of tears. There was a lot of
Yeah.
heartache. And it was hard getting through it, but I stuck with it. And Then I moved on to tell more of my professional life and how I became very successful simply because of the personality I am. I've got a really warm personality, and people warm to me, and I warm to people. So you know,
Yeah.
so that was good. That was good. So I then established myself as a leader. As a leader, I very quickly became. Once I was qualified as a social worker, I became established as a leader. And then when I went into higher education and I stepped into the classroom, the students said to me, "You have taken to this like a fish takes to water." Well, I did, because I just love the teaching environment. I just love sharing my knowledge. I just love to see the students excel and do well. And years after, when I saw them, sometimes I didn't remember the names, but I always remembered the faces. And I
Yeah.
always remembered the elation that they had when they graduated and that I was part of it. In fact, this very week, I got a text from someone, and she said, 10 years ago, she said, "I've been looking for your number for a very long time." She said, 10 years ago, "Linda, you were my practice assessor." And she said, and
Ah,
I couldn't believe it when she wrote this. And she said, "I was just prompted to write to you and to tell you how grateful I am for how you helped me and how I have achieved and how successful I have become." Ah, that makes me feel so good, Ray. That makes me feel so good because I feel that I have made a contribution to someone else's life, despite my suffering and despite what happened to me. I was able to turn that around and bring that sense of warmth, bring that sense of hope to others, whilst bringing healing to myself. So that's been a really great part of my story. And I would say that, the other part of my story is that after many years of being a single woman, um, and thinking that I would never meet anyone that would ever look at me and love me and be a partner to me, because there are a lot of women who think that they can't do this stuff on their own. And I want to
yeah.
encourage them this evening to say, but you can do it. You don't need anyone to do it. It's good to have a partner. And if you have a partner, that's lovely. But don't ever think that you can't excel, that you can't be your own person simply because you're on your own. But after 47 years of waiting, I was fortunate to meet the man 2 years ago that I married. That
That's
it's
brilliant.
it's brilliant. It's like a fairy tale story. The way that came to a brilliant end. He was the right person for me. I'm the right person for him, and it just worked out well. So my book ends by telling that story and how we met and how wonderful that is, and it's wonderful to have, in those twilight years of my life, to have a new beginning, to have a second chance. It's wonderful. It's
Yeah.
wonderful.
Especially as you've probably got another 20, 30 odd years left as well.
That would be wonderful too.
You've got someone to come along with that. So
Yes.
so how did you manage to do the studying with a young son? A PhD of
Wow.
all things. With a son as a single mum. So I'm guessing you were still doing a day job. Were you doing a day
Yeah,
job at the
well,
same time?
when my son was young, that was when I was studying to become a social worker, and those where my mum was very helpful because she helped me in terms of picking him up from school and doing, the school run and things
Yeah,
like that, cooking him the evening meal and giving me time to study. So that was how I completed that first, sort of study. But once I did that, and he was about 11, because he was about um, 11 years old when I finished, sort of studying. And once I did that, then I decided that I would send him to a church school, which was as a day boarder.
mm,
And he was a day boarder. So I would take him to the school on Sunday and I would pick him up on Friday. And we had the weekends together so that this cord wasn't broken between us. We were like two peas in a pod. And that allowed me then to work to be able to support him in what he wanted to do and support myself. So that was that. And then after I'd done that and I started working, then was when I did, first of all, an MPhil. I did my Master of Philosophy. And that was when I finished that in 1998. And that was when I wrote that first book, um, about those young people in the care system, and how they were treated, and the fact that they didn't have any life skills and they'd lost their identity. It was a really, really sad story. But that took me to America and stuff, talking about that book, and that was when I actually set up my business, because of the work that came out of that first publication. So it was only after that, when I finished that, that I decided, okay, so now I'm going to do the PhD. I was working, still working full time, doing a PhD part time. It was amazing stuff. I don't know where I got the energy from. I was what they called the hours of the day and all hours of the night. That comes from my bad back.
Oh,
But
bless you.
but I did it. I did it. Perseverance. I think that's a strong personality, and a real sense of achievement, and the feeling that being on that mountaintop gives you.
Yeah.
So that was how I did it. Um, it was
It's
wonderful to do it.
Yeah, it's amazing that you managed to do all that. And I mean, did you know, with the book that you wrote back in '98, have you noticed a change in the social care system, or have things improved since then?
Yes, things have improved since then, because the book I wrote back in 1998, it was about young people leaving the care system and the need to prepare them properly, for life. And in those days, children were just left the care system with a black paper bag, or a black paper plastic bag with all their belongings in, at 16, 15, 14, 16, and were sent out onto the streets, with nowhere to go. It was harrowing. But today things have changed. There's been a lot more research, and people, local authorities are seeing the importance of, preparing young people, giving them life skills, having programs for them, setting up, various, as I say, programs to help them. So it has changed, and that can only be a good thing.
Yeah,
It's
yeah,
good. But I feel that I had a contribution to make towards that change. It was good. It was good that I
yeah,
was there then.
yeah. Well, the fact you're invited to America to talk about it, is quite a big thing, really. And that was
Yeah.
it easy? Was it easy, right? You've written two books now. Has it been easy? I mean, obviously, your last book emotionally was a lot more harder. But do you
Yes.
do you find it easy to write, or do you find it's
Mm.
it's a bit more of a struggle to write?
People say that I'm a really good storyteller. That's the feedback I get. I find it easy to write, but it takes time, because again, it's a process. And in writing hard truth, the difficulty with that is that I was focusing on my own emotions, and I was focusing on all the tough experiences and the loss and the grieving and everything that I'd gone through. So that made it difficult. But once the words come, I find that they just flow. The ideas come. So yeah, a bit. It's difficult if you don't know what you're doing, but if you know what you're talking about, and you've got the expertise and the skill and the knowledge, then it's not that difficult. I think it's about writing the story, telling the story. And I am a qualitative researcher, which means that I am very interested in people's lived experiences. So I talk to people about those experiences, and that helps me to kind of engage with them and to tell their stories as well.
Yeah, that's
It's-
that's good, because I think people do need to sort of like tell their story, and as you said,
Yes.
when you tell your story,
Mhm.
you help other people. And something you sort of like touched on, with the grieving process, where you tend to, some people try and push people away,
Mhm.
etc.
Mhm.
If you were that person, you're trying to reach out to somebody who's grieving, but that person, is, doesn't want to know, they're trying to push you away, how how
Mhm.
how would you say that that person, can help the
Mhm.
the, the person who's grieving? Because
Mhm.
it
Mhm.
can be quite hurtful to that person as well, that
Yes.
they're not wanted.
Yes. Yes. I think there are a myriad of ways of letting people know that you're there without being too pushy. I think just sending a card now and again, I'm thinking of you, gives that sense of you are not forgotten and you're still in my thoughts. So I do that to my friends. I just send a card and say, if I suspect that they don't want that face-to-face contact, I will send a card. Or sometimes I'll just pick up the phone and say, "How are you today? How are you doing?" without actually talking about the loss. And I've recently had a friend who lost her husband, and I've done exactly that. I give her space, but I'm there, and she knows I'm there in the background, so that when she was ready to talk, I was there. And she talked about her husband, and we talked about the good times we had, and how wonderful it was to be part of his life. What a lovely person he was. So I think that even if someone pushes you away, just stay in the background. Just allow them to know that you're thinking of them and that you're still supporting them. Because I'm a Christian, I support people through prayer. So I will say, I am praying for you. Not only am I thinking about you, but I am praying for you. And I'm asking God to give you the strength, and the will to be able to survive what you're going through. And I might even share some aspects of my experience without kind of dwelling on me,
Yeah,
because I think it's about them. It's not about me. But I might say, I think that this strategy might help you. Why don't you try this? Yeah? So
yeah,
I think that there are lots of ways that we can kind of connect with people without being pushy.
yeah, yeah. Which I think sometimes is quite hard, especially if you really do want to try and help that person so much
Yes, yes,
to
yes,
to
yes.
get through. It's like taking that little step back, but letting them know that you're still going to
It's still
be
there. Yeah.
still there for them.
Mhm.
So do you obviously a lot of people have had to go online at the moment,
Mm.
and that I mean obviously you're used to being in front of people and one-to-ones with people. So how's it been going online, and we're doing more work online?
Yes. I think one of the things about me is that when I work with people, they don't forget me. When I train, people don't forget me because I leave something with them, or an impression there that they remember. And through COVID, that was my saving grace because people knew me and they entrusted their staff and their foster carers to me, and they said, "Would you train? Would you coach?" And I said, "Well, yes, I can do it, but I can do it online." And they said, "Yeah, Linda, that's fine. That's absolutely fine." So that's what I've been doing. So that's again another great survival strategy: building relationships, sustaining relationships, and for me, that has saved the day, because I've been able to stay in work, I've been able to do my work using the internet, delivering training via Zoom sessions and so on, and just connecting and linking up with people. It's a wonderful way to do it. In fact, I don't want to go to the office anymore.
Well, you can meet so many more people around the world as well.
You
Um,
can, you
Online,
can.
you save money on travel.
Yes, yes.
You don't have to get fully dressed. As long as you're not standing up, you can wear
You can be.
pajama bottoms if you wish.
I
But,
am fully dressed now, though, Ray.
so am I. Just in case I suddenly have to stand up and rush off
Yes,
and
you
do
certainly
something.
have. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Oh God,
I,
yeah.
I,
No. So some of the things that came out from when people first started going online doing the
yeah,
Zoom stuff was just
yeah,
was
It's
so
so
funny.
funny.
But it was a learning curve. And
Yeah,
again, it's kind of like, as you've been saying, it's just working through everything and knowing that there is a light at the end of the tunnel,
yeah, yeah.
and that you can get through, whatever it is that's going on. Even with COVID-19, you can
Mhm.
still get
You can
through,
still get through it. Yeah.
and there's going to be something at the end for you.
Yeah. I think too, Ray, that that's about, again, it's about having hope, because if you lose hope, then you won't be able to get through it. You'll say, I can't do this because it's too hard. But if you've got hope and if you're looking for something better and if you expect something better, then better things will come. You throw things, like you say, out to the universe and you wait for it to come back to you. Yeah, yeah. So, and it does. It
Yeah.
does.
Yeah, well, I mean, 40 odd years and you got married. I mean,
And
that's
I threw that out to
let's hope for all of us.
you.
Let's hope
Yes.
for all of us. And I got to meet him a little bit earlier as well. So
Yes.
he seems very nice man.
Yes, he is. Yeah, he's
Yes.
wonderful. I can't say otherwise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everyone, as you know, I like to offer a chance for you to give you a little bit of guidance, when you've watched the show, where I normally do guide meditation, angel oracle card reading. So this week I'm going to pull in an oracle card for everyone who's watching, and of course, when I do the cards, it's for what you need to know at your present. I don't predict the future with the cards. So even though I work with past life regression, when we go back in time, it's to heal the past so that we can be fully present. And when I take you forwards in time, it's so that you know where your future is, what's happening. So you're back in your present time, so you're not worried. So the card will be what you need to know for your high school at this moment in time, or it may even be a nudge saying, we've been telling you to do this. You know you should be doing this. So get on and do it. So let's see what everyone who's watching this, either live or the replay, needs to know for their highest good to help them in their life at the current time. So let's see where we go with that. But I love the way the cards always come out absolutely perfect. Embracing enthusiasm, shout to the heavens with happiness. I mean, what more perfect card could come
Amazing.
out with talking about, and the wisdom you've been giving everybody today, is embrace life, even with the adversities and grief and things that are happening, you know embrace being you, enthusiasm to move your life forward, to focus on something to help you through that, and you get to the point where you can shout out to the heavens the happiness that
Amen.
you actually feel.
Yes.
So yes, so those of you who are watching, embrace enthusiasm, get enthusiastic about something, no matter how small it might be,
Hmm.
and allow that to happen. Even if it's watching the leaves fall from the trees, be
Yes.
enthusiastic how beautiful it is.
Yes.
It's the smallest things, and then shout that happiness and joy, which will help you, in your life. So that was a really, really, really perfect card for coming out. So Lynda, do you have any thoughts or insights to leave our viewers?
Um, yes. I think if you have been in a dark place, if you've experienced sadness, grief, bereavement, loss, never ever draw a line in the sand and say, this is what I'm capable of, because we can always do so much better. And remember that there is always a light at the end of the tunnel. Nothing lasts forever. So it will end, but persevere, carry on, take support, be guided in your thoughts, be consistent, and it will happen for you. That's what I'd like to say.
That's brilliant. That is that that's brilliant words of wisdom. So thank you so much for that. So everyone, I hope you enjoyed this and found it insightful. And the words of wisdom that Lynda has given you will help you further on your journey. So Lynda, if people want to connect with you, how do they do that?
Well, they can do it in several ways. First of all, go to my website. That's www.connectedlifecoaching.co.uk. Or alternatively, why not write to me at Lynda with a Y, Lynda Life Coaching at gmail.com. So those are the two ways that you can get in touch with me. And of course, I'm on Facebook and I'm on LinkedIn. So you'll find me
And what I'll do
on
is
any of
I'll
those
put
places.
yeah, and I'll post the links in the comments so people can actually just click on it straight away and go to your website or
Mhm.
LinkedIn and that for you. So thank you, Lynda. It's been absolutely wonderful having you on the show today.
I've
And of
thoroughly
course,
enjoyed it.
it's been brilliant. And you do have such an enthusiastic air about you. And that it just shines through the screen, so
Thank you.
it's absolutely beautiful. And of course, for those who've been watching, if you have reached that crossroads in your life and you need help finding your destiny and getting clear on your path, then I would love to be that guide for you. Please feel free to reach out and connect with me, and we can arrange a free 20 to 30-minute video call to find out more about each other and how I can help you on your journey. And of course, as some of you may be aware, until the 2nd of December, I've been offering everything I do at half price. Apart from the workshops, all my services I'm offering at half price. So you don't need to book before the 2nd of December, but if you contact me about one of my services you would like, and we can book an appointment afterwards, it is half price. And of course, if you want to get a gift voucher for somebody, you can get that for half price at the moment. So, they'll never know that you've only paid half price to have a full session. It's perfect. And of course, the Angel Wings membership community is now open, where you get a chance to grow with the Ascended Masters, Archangels, Gods, Goddesses, Oracle cards, and other members in the community to help you spread your wings and soar. And of course, if you want to sign up to a free weekly newsletter on my website, where you get a guided relaxation meditation to help de-stress and some other free gifts, please feel free to do that. So thank you all for watching, and I would like to invite you to share this video, as I'm sure there are more women who feel lost and want to get clear on their destiny just like you. And if you're watching this on my YouTube channel, then please subscribe and hit the bell to be notified of all future shows and anything else that I may put on YouTube. And I look forward to seeing you all again, same time, same place next week. So thank you all for watching, and thank you so much, Lynda. It's been so much fun. I've really enjoyed
It's
having you on
been
the show.
lovely. I think I omitted to say that if you would like to buy the book, please go to balboapress.com to buy the book, or as contact me, you know. But please get the book. It's just wonderful. And with Christmas coming up too,
Yes.
it's a lovely gift to give to your family and friends.
Yep, most definitely, and I'll put the link to that in the comments
Thank you.
as well. And in fact, what I'll do is I'll actually go to the press page and actually find where yours is on there and put the exact link so they go straight to it,
Thank you.
and that for you. So have a wonderful evening, everybody, or day, depending what time if you're watching the replay, and I'll see you all next week. Bye.